In this video I'll speculate Varka's personality based on the information available. And I'll theorize his location, his relationships and slightly his past. Then his potential future role in the story. First I want to give an idea of who I believe Varka could relate to as a character. Siegfried Castellana from Honkai Impact. Dante from Devil May Cry. Both are laxed, strong confident men and leaders. Dark Souls and Berserk relate to Knight of Boreas in general. Seijuro Hiko. Kenshin's master. My version of Varka wears armor. It's a shame the only knight in armor isn't one. Now I'll use in-game dialogue to form a basis for Varka's personality.
The Grand Master of the Knights of Favonius? Isn't that Varka? The leader of that legendary expedition? So, what did Varka say in the letter? How's the expedition going? When are they getting back?
Oh, so interested in our Grand Master all of a sudden? Never knew you were such a gossip.
It's only normal, isn't it? That you'd be curious too if there was someone you'd heard loads about but never met. Even Master Jean says he's a living legend. Oh, pretty hard not to get hyped up after hearing that.
Varka brought quite a bit of trouble to those around him on the road to becoming a legend. I'll have to tell you about it sometime.
I'll go further into this later, after I highlight everything of note.
What's there to be afraid of? The Grand Master is there. One Grand Master should be able to take on at least, 10 captains.
P.S. If you're wondering who's tougher between me and the captain, well, I'm the Grand Master. There are 10 captains in the Knights of Favonius, but only one Grand Master. Ah ha 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 ha.
Still, I hadn't counted on the captain making an appearance. The Grand Master has a rather unconventional way of describing things. But even then, I've never heard him give such high recognition to anyone before. Mika tells me that rather than rejoining the expedition party, Grand Master told him to return to his post in Eula's reconnaissance company after delivering the letter. Land surveyors are usually situated in the vanguard of an army on the move, and are tasked with exploring previously uncharted territory. It looks like the expedition must have entered into a much less intense phase.
I'll save my full thoughts on this for later.
Now, Lisa, what was the Grand Master's message to you about?
I was just about to bring that up. The Grand Master says he wants me to handle something for him. Something to do with Razor's past.
Razor told us that he was raised by a pack of wolves in Wolvendom. He never knew his parents. In his own words, the wolf pack is his lupical, which means family.
Yes, that was as much as I knew as well. But in his letter, the Grand Master says that in the cabinet above the third bookshelf, to the right of the grandfather clock in Jean's office, there's a wooden box containing some items that Razor's parents left for him. He says it's time to give the box to Razor.
Does this mean the Grand Master knew Razor's parents?
It would seem so. The Grand Master didn't simply run into Razor one day in Wolvendom and teach him how to use a sword. No, the connection between them goes back much further.
I'm sure the Grand Master will have given due consideration to Razor's circumstances. Perhaps he felt that now would be the most appropriate time.
Varka? Tall, very strong, likes to laugh. Yes, trust. He's very good to me. Give me a name, teach me to fight. But now, busy with important work. I miss him.
You know, Razor, Varka used up all the paper writing this letter, but he still made sure he found room on the back to add a note for Lisa. He specifically told her to give you the things that your parents left for you. That means that he thinks the items have a special meaning for you.
Enemy following.
Enemy? I think we're a little closer than that. On some level, you could even say that we're brother and sister.
question. What the heck do you mean, brother and sister?
Varka taught you how to use that sword, I take it. Swift but powerful. I can spot that old-timer's style anywhere.
Huh?
I see you're not much of a talker. Well, there's something else you could learn from Varka. Never lost for words, even when he has nothing to say. It'd be good conversation practice for you. Just a shame we have no idea when he'll be back.
It's okay. I will wait.
Brother and sister? Varka? Oh, Paimon gets it. Varka is a father figure to both of them, so that makes them family. Just not by blood.
Well, blood relations are overrated anyway, don't you think? The sun nurtures many good things, but it can't do anything about the problems lurking in the shadows.
Wow, Rosaria.
All right, I'll leave it there. Take this flower. It's icy cold, just like me. Barbara's busy preparing the sung poetry event for the Vine Lisa Fest. She couldn't get away, so I picked an ingredient out on behalf of the church. Don't mention it, it's nothing. Varka's been a big help to me in the past, so just consider it returning a favor. Besides, if I'm your older sister, I might as well act like it.
The message in the letter, I want to thank him. I miss him. Lupacol miss him too. Now I am grown up. I want to hear him talk about human father and mother. Their voices, I heard them. Human father and mother were adventurers. Teacher said maybe they didn't survive. I have a wooden box. Inside are treasures from my friends. They are most precious things I own. Inside box from human father and mother is all about me.
Oh, yes, I read his letter. Barbara showed it to me. She'd been so worried about her father, Seamus. She almost burst into tears when she read that the expedition is safe and all of its members are accounted for. My thoughts? You're curious what he means to me as a father figure, is that right? Well, I guess I'm not like other daughters. I can't bring myself to worry about him. He wouldn't be leading that many people if he didn't have the necessary strength and courage for it. He's not the kind of person you need to worry about.
I was quite surprised to learn that the Grand Master had written a private message just for me. And I was equally surprised to find out that Razor's been on his mind this whole time. Especially given how demanding he is of Jean. He left her to figure out the whole Vine Lisa Fest on her own, and didn't give her a single word of acknowledgement. I'll have to have a stern word with him on Jean's behalf when he returns. It's funny, I always thought the Grand Master was the one who gave him the name Razor. But it turns out his birth parents chose it all along. Anyway, Razor told me he heard the voices of his parents during the festival. Like stepping on a rock in the sun. Warm, but also heavy. I'm sure he must think of them as both kind and dauntless people.
Don't get too carried away, all right? If I know the Grand Master, the fact that he has the time to be writing letters means it's probably nothing serious. It certainly won't be bad news.
Kaya's exaggerating a little, but otherwise I agree. He's the one that brought back the letter.
Please, may I have your attention, everyone? Now that we're all here, let's begin reading out the letter from the Grand Master. Mika, please, go ahead.
Yes, Master Jean. I will now be reading Grandmaster Varka's letter aloud for you all. To the Knights of Favonius. Greetings, everyone. This is Varka. The first thing I want to say to you all is please put your minds at ease. The expedition is safe, and all of its members are accounted for.
Oh, that's fantastic news.
My palms are sweating.
All right. Now that your fears are allayed, I trust you'll be ready to listen to the rest of my letter. I'm writing to you from the northernmost reaches of Tevat by the light of a stove. The expedition forces are stationed here while we restock. I once told you that the purpose of this expedition was related to a dangerous secret from days long past. I am still unable to disclose more than this, but suffice to say that you needn't worry about how our mission is progressing. In the past couple of months, we received an unexpected visitor. The Fatui Harbinger known as the Captain.
The Captain?
I am fully aware of the Fatui's outrageous actions in Mondstadt in recent history. Nevertheless, the Captain was not hostile towards us on this occasion. Open parenthesis. I rather suspect that's because this time, Snezhnaya and we are in the same boat. Close parenthesis. The man hides everything under the mask he wears, so no one can know his past or his origins. However, one thing is for sure. He is as hard as iron for having the courage to challenge gods as an ordinary mortal. I don't doubt that he could even take out a ruin guard by stabbing it in its big, glowing eye with one of Klee's crayons. Open parenthesis, don't get any ideas. Close parenthesis. Our scouts have confirmed that the Captain received orders to head for Natlon 3 days ago. We'll be able to sleep much better now that we don't need to worry about him anymore. I will admit that some of his actions have helped us, but even then, he owed us at least that much. This year's Weinlesefest must be kicking off in Mondstadt any day now. What a great pity that this year, once again, we will be unable to spend the festival together. Everyone here is always thinking back fondly upon the fine wines of Mondstadt, as well as the happy times we have spent with each and every one of you. I hope that you and all the citizens of Mondstadt enjoy the festival to the fullest. Have a few drinks on our behalf. The Dawn Winery's limited edition Weinlesefest seasonal special will do nicely. May Lord Barbados bless Mondstadt, and may the wind carry our sentiments back to your side. Varka. P.S. If you're wondering who's tougher between me and the Captain, well, I'm the Grand Master. There are 10 captains in the Knights of Favonius, but only one Grand Master. Ah ha 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 ha. His laugh, not mine. The letter ends here.
Grand Master Varka is the legend of his generation. On the day of his triumphant return, I shall be sure to personally introduce you to him. I'm sure you too will be in awe of his greatness. The Grand Master placed Mika on the front line of the expedition team, not simply because he met the requirements of the mission. More importantly, he was impressed by Mika's hardworking and grounded nature. From my own perspective, I feel very honored to work with someone like him.
The Grandmaster. He doesn't like to beat around the bush and has no care for rumors or trivial matters. A good guy, I guess. I sparred with him once, which ended in a tie, but his relaxed expression and leisurely attitude clearly indicated that he had been holding back the whole time. Such indignity. I will not let it go. Mika's personality hasn't changed one bit since he's been out with the expedition, though his abilities have improved significantly. The Grand Master is clearly making sure nobody neglects their training. Mika's unaware of his own improvement?
It must be one of his blind spots. Or perhaps he's just being humble. Either way, things like this don't escape me. I know my team.
Grandmaster Varka is not only a strong leader who commands respect, but also my personal combat instructor. He taught me to think on my feet and avoid engaging enemies at close combat to make up for my small stature and relative lack of stamina. Following his advice, I learned how to fight with a polearm and crossbow, and I must say, this fighting style is far more suitable to me. The Grandmaster said that I need to set higher goals for myself and strive to achieve them. I've always had that kind of attitude, but it wasn't until I was on the expedition that I realized how serious things can become. One day, I met the Fatui Harbinger, known as the Captain. I can't even begin to imagine how I can deal with an opponent like him. It's just... such powerful people are really on a level of their own. I'm not even remotely close. The Grandmaster said that a youngster like me needs to eat more meat, which will build more strength and physical stamina. Even though there's little chance I'll ever get really buff, I do like eating meat dishes. The others in the reconnaissance company seem to share this taste as well.
It is a shame there is no one in the Knights of Favonius to inherit the Grand Master's approach to his work. I must say, I really do appreciate people like him.
My father left on the expedition with Grand Master Varka. I hope they are okay. What am I worried about? The Grand Master is none other than the Knight of Boreas. Of course they will be fine. Still, I will be sure to pray for their safe return.
He's my role model. Talk about team leaders. He's the Grand Master. Leads the whole darn Knights of Favonius. How incredible do you have to be to do that?
At first I wanted to join his expedition party and do my part as a maid. But the Grand Master said no. It would give him more peace of mind if I stayed behind to take care of things in Mondstadt. It made me so happy to hear how much he values me. Okay, so apparently he said the same thing to a lot of people, but that doesn't change the fact that he prizes me too.
Grandmaster Varka. While I understand his disposition, I can make no sense of his actions. I've said too much already. I've long since left the Knights of Favonius. Forget I said anything.
Jean. She has served exceptionally well as acting Grandmaster. One can even say she is more reliable than Grandmaster Varka. Perhaps in our hearts, we all eagerly await the day she can become the official Grandmaster herself.
I'm sure Varka means well, but his long-winded conversations get real old real quick. Although he does really care for those around him, doesn't he? Father? I'm not familiar with the word. You could say that I don't have one. Could also say I have many, too. What's it to you?
Varka? Razor doesn't know. Oh, Varka is a name. That man, Big Steel Claw Razor's name. Varka gave him. Oh, want to see him.
Varka's character model. I don't think they'll do anything new with Varka if global, but I do think they will give him more mass than any other male and slightly taller. I know there's talk of the second to the Hydro Archon holding Siegfried's face, but as far as clothes go, and personality, I'll put Varka closer to Sig than Novalit. My design has him in armor and a cape, but it's more likely Varka will wear a trench coat with some armor on him, but overall I think he'll have a tough rugged look. But if Varka isn't playable or has a larger character model, my design might be close. I'm hoping Varka is playable regardless. Now for Varka as a character. Kaya states that Varka brought trouble to those around him on his way to becoming a legend. I would suspect Varka of having a troubled past.
You bastard!
That affected those around him. Likely Seamus and any other old-timer of his generation. Speaking of generations, it would be reasonable to assume he's around the age of the previous generation, being Seamus, Frederica and Crepus. So being the parents of Jean and Barbara, it's fair to assume they are anywhere from 20 to 30 years older than their children, and from this the two are between the ages of 40 and 50 as Jean is in her early 20s. Being that most friends don't have a large age gap, I wouldn't put Varka much older or younger than the two, but I believe he's slightly older. As for the trouble he caused, well, what if it's tied to him being or becoming the Knight of Boreas? Or if he was just a wild boy, he likes to train and duel, so fighting must have always been a part of his way of life. So it's possible he just fought and caused problems. Plus I don't think Varka has a similar upbringing compared to Razor, being an orphan raised by wolves. I think Varka was a trouble guy that eventually found his way to becoming the Knight of Boreas and later the Grand Master. My reason is, I do believe he's a Dante type, and also it would seem like a waste to recycle Razor's story. Also Kaya seemingly gets along with Varka, as it would seem that the two personalities click. As Kaya is considered to be a smooth talker and Varka just seems like a talker and easygoing. I could see the two types get along well versus someone like Albedo who, from my perspective, might not mesh well with Varka. I could see Varka trying to be friendly with Albedo but is awkward try to get along, whereas Albedo is just annoyed. Or it's deeper than that, but based on everything I've read, I think their personalities just don't mix. Almost everyone speaks of Varka in high regards. All the knights have unquestionable faith in him as their leader, and even someone as pessimistic as Rosaria has nothing to worry about when it comes to Varka. When Jean hears Varka acknowledge Captain's strengths, she notes that he never has done that before. From this I assume Varka himself has strength in which he himself could defeat a ruin guard with Klee's crayon, at least. Varka seems to be friends with everyone but especially Razor's parents of the Adventurers Guild. Enough to be a father figure and raise their child. If Razor was adopted by the wolves, I think it's safe to say they passed in wolvendom. As to when Varka found him, is unclear. Was he a baby, kid or teen? We can say at least old enough to comprehend words, so at least a child. Personally I'd say a few years ago, Varka probably dressed him too. Expedition. Varka took basically an army for a dangerous secret, leaving behind just enough to defend Mondstadt. And this danger lead Varka to head far north. But also the Tsautsa is in the same boat, or at least has a understanding. From this we can rule out the Fatui being the cause. The Archon and I'll go on a limb and also cross out Celestia, but then again the Tsautsa's main goal is to overthrow Celestia. This leaves the Abyss Order, problem being the Abyss Order likely operates from Kinraya and thanks to Sumeru. That's likely located under Sumeru. But one thing I've questioned is if Varka's expedition will blend into the story. It seems as if he will return rather than being met during his expedition, and seeming how he's settling down. Personally I don't think his expedition is over, if barely scratching the surface. I think him sending Mika back was either for his own safety or to keep this secret unknown. Meaning Varka is coming up on his goal and engaging this dangerous secret. It's either Abyss Order or the ancient Mondstadt. Say maybe someone evil is still alive and been hiding for some time, I don't know. But either the expedition will indirectly affect us now or later, after his return. No way Varka's expedition won't have any story implication later on. Location. Based on the community, everyone links Varka to Dornman Port. And with more recent talks of Dornman Port, it does seem likely. But as for where he was before, I'd guess on the borders of Snezhnaya, as his group crossed past with the captain's scouts. And I don't see Captain doing much other than patrolling the borders outside of Snezhnaya, unless there's an area like Dragonspine or Chasm that connects between the regions. This land would have to be both strange and foreign to both parties. So I'd honestly place them outside of Mondstadt, as I find it extremely hard to believe Varka hasn't explored all of Mondstadt, so for him to describe any part of Mondstadt as foreign doesn't make sense to me. As for the captain, I don't think they're in Snezhnaya, so this leave me to two places on border of Snezhnaya. Sumeru and Fontaine, if they do in fact share a border with Snezhnaya. but I'd place them at least at the time of meeting the captain. Above Sumeru because I just find it odd for him to suddenly be giving orders to head to Naglan from a greater distance unless his route was already near, and I do believe the west side of Sumeru shares a border with Naglan, and for this reason I believe Captain is head south or southwest, passing their Sumeru and seeing how we are leaving. Sumeru, we can just miss him. Leaving his reveal in game for Naglan. I say this versus Fontaine because if that is the case, then it's likely we will meet him in Fontaine, which oh doubt because between him and Colomina. I'd place Colomina in Fontaine, if she does in fact have ties to Celestia, as I do think Fontaine will give more focus to Celestia as an antagonist. With her seemingly being afraid of them. She might praise them in a way that to a outside like ourselves might seem fearful. Anyway, I think the focus will be the Fatui in Fontaine, and just because I'll bet the Abyss will be the focus in Naglan. Back to Varka and his potential. Upon Varka's inclusion, a lot of Favonius lore will get dropped. The previous Grand Master. The history of Andreas and Knight of Boreas. And whatever is going on with Diluc. Anyway, this video is so long. I wanted to include the rough letter and other stuff, but instead I'll just post it somewhere.
Whenever you need me, I'll be there.